What's up, YouTube? JRL back at it again with another reaction video. And today we got a decent one. It's gonna be Alex Hormozi. Money isn't real. Still this dumb strategy to win in 2026 by Jack Neal with Alex Hormozi featuring in it. So, I'm not gonna blur y'all with a long intro. Blur y'all? I'm not gonna blur y'all. I'm not gonna bore y'all with a long intro. We're gonna get straight into it. I'm gonna be taking notes or plotting, if you may, but we gonna get into it.
So you're kind of given it a tremendous amount of thought. I kind of deal with things as they enter my queue. Layla is the one who gets, her life is changing significantly more than mine is in the short term. I think once the baby comes, I'll adjust when it comes. Yeah, I mean, new information, new priorities. I'm really not that worried about it.
He's so mellow.
I mean, I think big picture, there's been, 100 billion humans? 85% of humans have a child by the time they're 45. Or after 40, whatever. But by the time they've finished their ability to have children, it's like 85%. So it's not something that's like really that rare of a thing. And so I think I'll deal with it the best I can. And, my dad gave me a pretty good example of what being present looks like. And so I'll take as much as I can from that.
You're kind of known as the guy who optimizes everything.
Oh, we just jumping straight into
I'd say
it. I thought that was
maximizes.
Optimizers get the most for the
I
least.
thought that was like a
Maximizers get as much as they possibly can.
With a kid,
You know how
what
they,
are the inputs you can actually control?
you know how they show a preview of the episode and then they jump into it? I thought that's what that was, but no, he jumping straight into it. Okay.
I'll learn and how does behavior get shaped, which, the primary ways are going to be modeling, like me doing something and getting good outcomes in front of the child. And the second would be teaching the child directly, which I would say is through demonstration, role playing, practicing, training, repetitions. And that can be from like, say please, say thank you, all the way to learning more complex skills, over time. I mean, I like teaching. And so I look forward to teaching the child the things that I know and what it will teach me about things that I don't know.
I guess in a different way, like how do you decide, like these are the things I'm going to teach? So like when you have a child, it kind of creates this different dynamic when you have responsibilities in some way, but you also want to allow a kid to have freedom,
I think a lot of people derive purpose from utility. And so I would want the child to have as many skills as possible so that it could navigate the most diverse number of conditions it's exposed to. So there's life presents a lot of different variables. And so it's like if I can prepare it for those variables so it makes choices that are aligned with getting what it would want, then I see that as a W. I mean, I think the hard part, like there's two things that I would say that I've struggled more with defining, which is one is what is the measure of parenting? How do you know if a parent is good? And so I'll give an example of both extremes. So it's like there's many stories of entrepreneurs and others who had terrible upbringings and then succeeded. And so do we say that those parents were good if it created the outcome that was good? If we judge it by its outputs, kind of interesting. Like, would Michael Jackson have become Michael Jackson if he didn't have that upbringing? I don't know. I don't know if he knows. I don't know if we can ever know. And so I think that's an interesting one. And the other is, what do we define as a successful child? I would say that modern society defines success mostly as happiness. They like to do what makes you happy. I just want my kid to be happy, things like that. I'm not sure if I'm 100% sold on that. Because I think that when you have somebody who tries to optimize or maximize happiness, it's a very selfish worldview. And I think that it's one of those things that if you seek it, you never find it. It only happens as a consequence of other things you do. At least that's been my experience. And so, I mean, I've talked, plenty of times about this, but like I have gotten more fulfillment out of being useful than I have out of trying to be happy. And having it happen as a consequence of like helping other people has helped me more than me trying to help myself. And so I think, a lot of things we gain by giving up. It's like in a lot of religious texts, it's like you gain your life by giving it up, giving it away. And I think those are like those two questions: how do we define a successful parent and how do we define a successful child? I think are the hardest things to define, because once you define those, then the rest of the actions are fairly straightforward. And I think that getting alignment on that is probably the hard part. And again, it's like, can you have a parent that has an unsuccessful child that did everything perfectly as a parent? I don't know. We don't have any perfect parents. And so I would say what I have settled on is I will do the best I can with the resources that I have available to me to equip the child with as many skills, life skills, as I possibly can, so that it can succeed in the most diverse set of environments.
What's the one skill you hope your kid has before they turn 18?
Courage.
Are you seriously using AI chatbots again?
No, this is OOC, the playable anime with real anime storylines.
That's powerful. He wants courage for his
Before they turn
child
18.
too.
Courage.
Yeah, it just repeated, but he wants courage for his child before they reach 18. That's pretty deep. 'Cause not a lot of people have that. And that's a unique skill to have.
The gateway trait to all other traits.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you have no courage, the other traits become neutered because you can't do anything with them because you're too afraid. And so I think teaching the child to act and do the right thing or act in accordance with its values despite short-term consequences that could be aversive or bad or painful would be what I think would be the hallmark thing of, I mean, it's very hard to look at somebody who's courageous and not, like, I see that as a pinnacle trait. I would be proud of a child if they always did what they believed was right in each circumstances, despite what other people thought, despite the short-term consequences. And I think that core trait is something that generalizes to basically every domain. Like, how do you learn something? You have to have courage. You have to be okay with failing. You have to be okay with being wrong. You have to be okay with being made fun of. All of those things come from courage. And so I think that's probably why I would put it at the core.
Is Layla excited?
Yeah, of course. Layla's thrilled. I'm very happy and excited, and I would say Layla's even more happy and excited. And I think part of that is because she has an actual human inside of her, and I do not. And so I think she thinks about it more often than I do because it reminds her that it exists. Whereas just like you have your phone buzzing in your pocket, you don't have something kicking your stomach. And so like I'm very aware of my phone existing. I'm less aware of the baby existing. And so I think that's just partially just the logistics of it. No, she's stoked though.
Now, the world your child will be born into is very different than the one you grew up in. The value of college degrees has changed. Jobs are being eaten by AI, and young people are lonelier than ever. Mechanically speaking, what's changed in the system that makes it challenging in a different way for young people to make money today?
Well, today versus when my child is an adult, I would say are different situations. I would say for today, it's never been easier to make money because we have these tools that are giving tremendous leverage to people who have work ethic and skill. And so barriers to entry are getting completely flattened, which is amazing. It's democratized access, but what it's really done is also just made it more competitive. And so one of my favorite lines in The Wire is, Cuddy, who was a hitman, comes out of prison after 15 or 20 years. He's an older guy, doesn't know what to do, goes back into the game. He then is told to like go do a hit with some other guy, and it goes the wrong way, and they're sitting in the back of the car, and he says, "Man," he's like, "the game's changed." And Slim Charles looks at him and says, "No, man," he's like, "the game hasn't changed. The game's the same, just more fierce." And so I see that in a lot of ways. It's the way that the economy, the way that business, the market hasn't changed. The fundamentals are still going to be the same. Is a core thing to learn, which I just see that as like being able to change behavior quickly when new conditions arise. And so today, a lot of money can be made digitally without nearly the amount of labor as before, and you can run it a lot more efficiently, which I think there are more people entering entrepreneurship than ever before, which I see as largely a good thing, because the most efficient organizations are single person run. Like if you just think like there's so much waste in larger organizations because of coordination of people. And so, like a perfect world of efficiency would be that every single person has a business that requires someone else, that everyone have their own freedom, everyone, delivers, valuable services to other people. That's awesome. I think there's if you had to guess, what might that look like? Dude, I have no idea. I think my guess is it would be the same as me making up a reality, and I don't think there's too many variables. I mean, let alone it's like trying to predict like what stocks can go up tomorrow. There's so many things that can happen between now and then.
Infinite.
And there's also some things that I don't think are necessarily going to change. Like, for example, like I think basis is a question which I like thinking a lot about, which is rather than saying like what is going to change, I think it's more valuable for someone today to ask what is going to stay the same. And so I think that humans will still fall in love. I think that humans will still value stakes. So I'll give you a simple example. Like if Mr. Beast makes a video and he's, puts $5 million in the middle of an island and invites 10 influencers to go compete for it. Those influencers can't be AI influencers. They can't be fake. And if that $5 million isn't actually $5 million, and you just have cartoons competing for fake money, I don't think anyone cares. And there's also some things that people want to see humans do. So like we have cranes, we still want to watch who can lift the most weight. We still have, robo chess that can beat any chess player on earth, and chess has never been more popular. And so we will still be attracted to human things, drama, story, narrative stakes, things like that I think that humans want to see how humans are reacting to those things. So I don't think that's going to change. I think humans are going to need to eat. I think they're going to need to sleep. Necessarily isn't all AI, but it will. AI will YouTubeify a lot of things. So what I mean by that is when mobile phones had videos, video making used to be a luxury thing. And then everyone was able to make a video. And then YouTube gave everyone a platform to post those videos on. And so it's like, oh, everyone can vibe code. It's like, well, yeah, but everyone can make videos, but not everyone's Mr. Beast. And so just like always, like it will still have like quality, like when there's more supply, we will index on quality. And so what are the human things that are the non-replaceable things, which I think are stakes? I think it's narrative. I think it's reality. And reality creates the stakes for any of this type of stuff.
Steak.
That's why reality TV is still a thing, because we know it's real, to the degree that it's real people, right? And there's some sort of money or whatever that's on the line. People still watch.
It's Morby scammed me.
What? Damien, how did I scam you? You're 24 Plex that you bought without
Robot that cuts your lawn. For sure.
Right. That's something I was thinking about was
Why he
this
got that
idea
ice
of
on, bro?
reality TV for some reason has the highest moat in the next 10 years as far as content. Because it just seems as though
Business of moat
AI
is
is able
anything
to
that protects a
amalgamize
company's from competitors like a
education
strong
type
brand,
content
patience,
so well
patents,
and like
technology.
documentary type content so well. Like, do you have any thoughts on that specifically? That the info business content creation is going to be
Like, you just recently lost weight, right? So people know they need to, whether you know anything about fitness, you know you need to stop eating shit and move more. Okay, great. Your version of eating shit and moving more will be different. But fundamentally, you have an idea that you do that. To drive those stakes and drive that motivation for people.
You said the richest you ever felt in your life was when you and Layla hit your first $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
You've since talked about a goal that you have where you want to help 100,000 young men make $100,000.
I think that's small. I think we'll do a lot more than that, but yeah. We might have already done that. I'm being real. The difficulty is, how do you measure it, right? If I were to give a meal to every person, I give a meal, you check a name off, and that's it, right? You can ship them out, and it's done. If I have to teach someone to do something, and then have to have them make money, and then have a way to know that they've reached past this point, like when I announced that, I've gotten so many DMs of people like, dude, I'm one of those people. I made $1 million because of you. I made $10 million because of you.
I'm one of those people.
I'll appreciate it, man. Awesome. Thanks, man. Glad to hear that. That's cool, man.
He made him
Like,
lose
I
his
mean,
train
school
of
is
thought.
27 million users. So 100,000 is like a rounding error. I think we'll do a lot more than that. I have a lot of other things in the works too that'll come by the end of this year that'll make that more evident. But yeah, I mean, I meant what I said. I think that in order to change the world, you have to start with changing a generation. I don't think old generations change. So you have to start younger. And I think that the best system we have right now is capitalism. It is flawed. It is just the best flawed system we have. And so in order to get people to buy into something, you need them to be reinforced by it. So they have to have a good outcome as a result of it. Is ridiculous. It's like the abusive husband and the wife, and then, he hits her and he says, I'm sorry, it'll be different next time. It's like, no, man, that's the pattern. And so we don't need to like wait for a dictator to take over to know that that's how it's going to end. And so I'm a big believer in free markets, and I'm willing to deal with the downside consequences of free markets because I see them as superior problems to the downsides of communism, socialism, and dictatorship, which are not necessarily all the same, but often.
I like that a lot. I mean, if money exists.
That it is the best at generating it.
I know this is something you've probably been asked before, but things are so different now. If you had to go from $0 to $100,000 in the next 3 months, how would you do it? Maybe if you could break it down for me in 5 steps.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Right, and I
You
don't
can't
have
post content.
and I have no network, and I have no connections, and I have no any of that. I don't have my phone with me.
You can use Claude.
So when you are starting out, you want every customer to be worth it. And so I think one of the mistakes that happens when people are earlier is they don't sell expensive enough stuff. And so, like, if it's very hard for you to get a customer, then you better make sure that customer is worth it. Which means instead of thinking about scalability, we think about how basically potential money made from every person is what you want to maximize. And so that means that potential value created has to be maximized, which means that we might do unscalable things in the short term in order to generate cash flow. And so I'll give you an analogy and then I'll give you the steps, but or not an analogy, a story. But when I started my first gym, I did personal training with one client, and that client came 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week, which is a super client. And I ended up making, I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000 a month in total. And the gym, I would just take the cash and basically reinvest it in more equipment, or I'd spend more on ads to get more people in, whatever it was. But like I lived on the $5,000 a month that I was getting. And so like, if I wanted to get to $100,000, I would go to a business and say, and the thing is like, I have already done this because I've already lost my money before and had to go do this. So this is what I did. I went to a local business and I said, what are the packages you have? And then I said, what's the cheapest that you're willing to? And then you get the customer for life after that. And as soon as I had some businesses that said yes, I then got them customers and I kept the money, and then they delivered the services and got customers for free. And so when I lost everything, I made $100,000 the first month after I lost everything. And so within the example, it's like I did that in 30 days. And so you can absolutely do that. It's just that you have to work like a maniac. And fundamentally, I had an offer that worked, that I knew worked for a specific local business, which was a gym. So I knew I could run a weight loss challenge, and I knew I could spend money on the ads, and I didn't have to spend a lot because, if you can get 10 to 1, you spend $100, you have 1,000, and then after you have 1,000, you spend 10. Now you spend 1, you make 10, and you're good to go, right? And so then I would get limited by the facility's ability to handle customers. So I would try and find the most empty facilities because I knew I could sell them till they were full, usually within 3 weeks. And so that is literally what I did. So step by step, I had an offer, number one. Number two, I had ads that I could record with my phone. Step three, I posted.
Visitors. Come on, I knew that was going to happen. 21. I went too far back. Let's try this again. A landing page is a single web page designed to get visitors to do one specific thing, like sign up for a service or buy a product.
And I kept the cash. It's the easiest business that you can run. It's one person. It's functionally an affiliate business.
If you were going to think of the easiest offer right now, what might it be?
Because
I think a lot about winner's effect and how people, I like to give people, those tactful gems, even though they're not useful long-term, because long-term is just the fundamentals, but to establish some type of winner's effect.
Well, the nature of the offer is going to have to be so basic AI stuff. It's not that difficult to go into a normal business and say, hey, can I observe your business for free and come with an AI plan that saves you at least $100,000? And would you be willing to give me a third of the savings or 20% of the savings that I get you if I can demonstrate that it will save that amount of money? Most businesses would say yes. And it's just like, it's nothing up front. I just need these commitments. Like, I don't think like, and then someone might say, okay, well, how do I get in touch with those businesses? You've got 2 feet and 2 hands. You can knock on a fucking door. Like, you have a phone with, you've got two thumbs. You can text people, you can DM them, you can call them, you can email them. Like, you can post content about it. Like, there's 100 ways. You just gotta let people know about it. And the thing is like, is that an in-demand service right now? Yes. And so the issue is more that people just don't have any skills. Like, if you have skills, making money is not that hard. You do something for somebody else that they don't know how to do. So that means you need to learn how to do shit. So learn how to do stuff and then do it for somebody else who doesn't want to learn how to do stuff, which really just comes down to, like, you have to be willing to work.
What's the one thing people waste most of their time on that doesn't actually make them money?
I mean, everything that is not the work. Like, I have one plaque on my wall. It says focus is subtraction. Like, everything that is not the thing is a distraction. So if we define commitment as the elimination of alternatives, people are not committed. And so the most focused person in the world, most focused video game player in the world would not eat, would not sleep, would not drink water. They would only play video games. And anything that is not video games would then be less focused. So if you drink water, you're less focused than the guy that plays 100%. Now, is that sustainable? No. But for the period of time that person was playing, that person would be the more focused person. And so there are a very small number of activities that generate money. And most of everything else is just noise. Like, you have to let people know that you exist. You have to make them an offer that solves a specific problem in exchange for money. You have to get agreement from them, and you have to exchange money for services. And then you have to deliver that product or service to them. Like, it's
There's a new career and a new training that you can start with no previous experience. It pays well.
You have to get agreement from them, and you have to exchange money for services. And then you have to deliver that product or service to them. Like, I don't know what else there is. Like, I don't know how it gets that complicated. Like, that's it. And people I think really what it is like, people get paralyzed by trying to pick perfectly. They try to think, like, I want to have the perfect business. Well, like, unless you're Bezos or Zuck, who actually started their first business and are still in their first business as a gazillion-dollar company, the vast majority of entrepreneurs that I know, your first business is not your last business. It is your first stepping stone. And so I just try to get people to concentrate on get a stranger to give you money to do something or for something that you make for them. That's it. Like, that's all of business. It's literally just accepting money from a stranger. So you need a way to process money. You need an LLC if you want to use credit cards. You could do it for cash and not have any of that shit. Like, I struggle with the question because I'm like, what part are we missing here? And I think it's because there's so many people saying a lot of words that they don't understand and confusing a large percentage of people. It's like, well, you have to start with a morning routine. It's like, bro, you don't need to do any of that. You need to let somebody know that you can do something for them and ask them if they want you to do it for them for money.
It's that simple.
And then do it.
Yep, that's.
I don't really have a.
Dude, but like,
it sounds about right. Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
a lot of it gets
for
distracting.
me, I think about like my business because I know it's not the typical business, but I think people focus on similar things. Like with my business, I sell to advertisers, right? And a majority of my time is spent on building the product to sell to them in a way, which is the content, and building like, oh, this is the data, this is the data, this is the data, here it is. And we spend so little time on selling because it's so important to present the good data.
So how do you go about selling it?
I'm going to use the restroom. Hold on. All right, I'm back.
Set up a call with them, show them the data.
You run ads on your podcast, right? You don't do any ads, but how do you make money right now? Just ad
Oh, you meant, I thought you meant like advertising the podcast. Yeah, we do a bunch of ads.
Yeah. Can I give you a little trick? Run an ad for yourself. After this, say, hey, by the way, if you are enjoying this podcast and you would like your business and an offer towards whatever product and service you have, I have this available. We get this many views per month, and this is our demo. Reach out to me here.
Want to strengthen your math skills? Try Brilliant. It's an effective
Beautiful.
and fun way to learn.
Built
for the way your mind actually
I did
works.
it in the last
Every lesson
video.
is visual and interactive, so the math
I think I'm going to do that more often.
Reach out to me here. Would love to connect.
Fair play.
You sell media. Use it. You already have it.
Right.
You have something that's free. You don't have to spend money on ads. You can literally just advertise on your own platform.
Right.
Yeah.
You can
Maybe we take you
advertise to
from
people who
Let's
want
see
1
if we
million
do
to
it
5
though.
million
That's
from
the
now on.
crazier part.
What else we got?
Hey, really quick, I'm going to take some of Alex's
Oh, he did
advice
it!
here. And if you're someone that happens to have a company, I have a really dumb idea for you.
It
So
got ad on the
instead of
nose,
you
okay.
explaining to me what a KPI is and writing me a
Point
creative
indicator.
brief and trying to hope that I somehow convert, I'm just simply going to make you money. Now, I'm not going to read you all my stats. That's insulting. Like how many viewers and listeners we have, that's all at jackneal.com/sponsor. I'll wait. Disgusting, right? In a good way. Now here's the offer. You give me the product, I put it in front of the most engaged audience of young men on the internet, and you make a bunch of money. But the downside is there isn't one. I'm really good at this. Like if you haven't noticed, I dressed up for an ad about an ad. This is my wife's tank top, and the Sharpie on my nose is going straight into my brain. All of this was for you. So again, if you want an influencer that'll make the ad for you or do the ad exactly how you want, knows what a KPI or an
gotta
LTV
respect
to
the
CAC
hustle.
ratio is, just go to jackneal.com/sponsor and contact me there. You can also hit the first link in the description. But anyway, guys, back to the podcast. Why is it so important to build a data-centric business in the age of AI?
Well, you can't have AI without a data layer first, because like AI is trained off of data. And so if you want to have a unique mode in some way to a business and not be, obviously like the frontier models are all trained on all of the free available information. And so in order to have any kind of edge on those models, you need to have proprietary information. You have to have data sets that they don't have access to, or that they don't have, like, call it clones or similar data sets. Because if you have a unique data set, but it creates the same outcomes as a different data set that is not the same as yours, it actually does not have the same edge. And so you need to have unique data. That's if you wanted to have some sort of AI, call it product as a thing that you would sell. If you want just to use AI within the business, which I think is 95 or 99% of businesses out there, it's more in order to have, let me zoom out. If I wanted to have an employee come in, right, and do a job, I would have to train the employee on that job. In order to train the employee, I would have to document steps to doing the right behaviors. The documentation of those steps and the when done right, it looks like this. That is all data. And so the more documentation you have around the processes you have in the business, which is what are the inputs and what are the outputs, and what is basically the manufacturing process step by step that takes inputs and turns it into outputs, and how do we know output is good versus bad, which fundamentally is just reinforcement training, which works for humans and works for machines. We need to have that so that we can get the most out of the tools.
I was just referencing
That
the
is
song, Mr. Beast.
Like,
You
it's
don't have
just
to
so
give
that
me
you
money.
can get more out of the AI versus having a generic out of the box
You
AI.
don't
We
have
have
to give me money,
this is how
don't
Jack
worry
likes to run
about
the
it.
AI.
I'm cool off that. I'm gonna get in my own.
Do you record yourself? Like all the time?
Not all the time. I would say that I record myself. I mean, I don't record myself. I have a team that records me, technically. And yeah, when I do stuff, I record it.
I was just thinking like every single meeting, every single conversation I have with people, just documented data, turn into the model.
I think that so if you think about like the digital world and the real world as two different places. So if you have a Zoom call, emails, everything that's digital is almost already pretty recorded. So your emails are already recorded, your Slack messages are already recorded. The only thing you have to add is for your meetings, your Zoom meetings, those get recorded and transcribed. If you do that, especially if you're a remote business, almost all your interactions are already recorded. So that's not that difficult to have access to. When you have an IRL business, you have to have more effort that goes into the recording. That being said, I think a lot of times the data can be a little bit richer. But yeah, so I would say that if I'm interacting with customers, then it is recorded. If I'm interacting with my team, it is recorded. If I'm not doing either of those things, I'm hanging out, not with a camera on.
What's the real reason most businesses die?
I think it depends on how we define businesses dying. Because most businesses die because the entrepreneur quits. Because if the entrepreneur doesn't quit, then it's very common for businesses to evolve and change models and change structures and change pricing. I can't remember, but it's there's a number of examples of like I want to say it was like Mitsubishi or Samsung. It might be Samsung. Like started as something completely different from like It's like it's normal for those things to occur.
Yeah.
But if it's more like, if the question is like, why would someone start and not succeed? Most of the time, they don't persist. And their definition of starting
Their
is what
heart
most
was
people
really
who are
in it.
successful entrepreneurs will be like, you didn't even start.
Yeah, he wasn't even in it.
You know what I mean?
bro.
Like I had this is a couple years ago, but I had a dinner with a friend of mine's kids, and they were all college aged, and they said they liked entrepreneurship, and so I razzed them a little bit, and they were like, okay, I'm gonna start this business, and I was like, awesome, man. And so I think 6 months later, I saw him again because I was hanging out with the same friend, and I was like, hey, how's the business going? And they were like, oh, I'm just working on getting the the LLC set up. And when I heard that, I was like, what? Like the LLC? I was like, that's like 30 minutes, man, tops. Like go online, go on LegalZoom, go on whatever the hell you want. Like it's all automated. And then like take the LLC, start a bank account. Like, okay. Now. And a lot of times it's like a lot of newer entrepreneurs convince themselves they did more work than they really did because they sat in front of a computer and messed around. But like, did you figure out something to sell? Did you let people know about it? Did you ask them for money to do it? Where do you fail there? Like, and if you have a service business, which is 78% of the US at least, you can always collapse a service business down to just the person who started it. And so, like, there's no reason for a service business to ever really fail. Because your main thing is headcount.
Even
That's
in
going to be
the
your main
Bible,
cost. You might have some capital expenses for equipment,
you go
maybe.
and service
Right?
others,
But, like, the vast majority is person doing thing for other person. Okay. So, like,
Riches
you can
will
collapse
be
all
on
that down.
to
Like,
you.
if you got in trouble,
I
it
think
could
it
still be
says
you
that.
doing shit for money. So, did
You
that
know
business
what?
die? Might down?
I don't want to be wrong. Let's ask AI.
The Bible emphasizes that serving others is a core expression of faith and love, teaching that true greatness comes from a servant's heart. Key teachings and scripture. Following Jesus' example, Christ modeled ultimate service, stating he did not come to be served, but to serve. Matthew chapter 20, verse 28. Motivated by love, believers are commanded to serve one another humbly in love. Galatians chapter 5, verse 13. Using your gifts, every talent you have is meant to be shared to uplift the community. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10.
Well, it answered my question, I guess, but I didn't get the answer I wanted, so I digress.
The core economics of the thing matter a lot. And so it's like we have to sell it for not just a profit, but enough profit to fund the rest of the business and growth. And that's where pricing can become obviously really important, and brand and distribution, things like that. But that's a little bit further down the road, and that's not really why most people fail. Right. Most people just give up because, to be honest, like I don't even know that many people who have failed at business. Realistically, I don't. I know people who've changed businesses many times over the years, but like, maybe people don't really give up. Most people just don't start.
The same people that complain about their car insurance being too high are the same ones being too lazy to go to the marketplace that's right below this video. Put in the
Why is
year,
that
make,
song
and
in my
model of
head,
their
bro?
car.
Don't really give up. Most
Why
people
is
just don't
that
start.
song in my head, bro?
On August 16th last year, you launched your book, $100 Million Money Models.
I need to get
which
that
teaches
book,
various
bro.
systems people can use to build nine-figure businesses.
Not nine-figure businesses. I never promised that.
To
Not at
potentially
all.
build.
No, just build a business.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the smartest thing you did when you launched your book that almost no one talked about?
We added 70,000 users to school in a weekend.
How?
See? No one talked about. Pretty chill. I gave a bunch of all my stuff away and also showed how to use money models in school because a lot of people who follow my stuff do have businesses, but also there's plenty of people who don't have business and want to start a business. And so School provides a very easy platform for you to get started in business. Like you can accept payments in 30 seconds and you don't have to like even go through the LLC stuff at all. And it processes the payments for you. So like you can literally just like start one about whatever you like, whatever you're passionate about, and then invite other people. Like you'd invite them to a party. It's just online. And you have a bouncer at the door, which is the checkout page that collects cash. It's very simple. And so I just put all the stuff from the books, applied it to that specific business, and said anyone can get for free for 90 days. Try it out. If you like it, you can keep it for $9 a month. And that has all the software you need to run an entire business with nothing else. And so 70,000 people grabbed that.
70,000 users, like consumers or like people?
No, people starting communities.
People starting communities.
Yeah.
This is a rumor. But did you break TikTok Shop? I heard this internally.
So basically TikTok Shop had a feature in how it did payouts that miscommunicated when a refund occurred. And so we had there was an influencer. I mean, it was happening across all accounts, but I'm just somebody that people can attack. There was an influencer that I think had made like $47 in total sales, something like that. And the sale that she had, which was of the book, somebody had refunded it or something like that. And she got a deduction from her, which by the way, this is all TikTok. Like I didn't build TikTok Shop. I used it just like everyone else does. But she had a deduction in, I think, commissions, or she didn't get paid a commission because she basically had a debt on her account, which is like, okay, we paid you 17, but you owe us 17, and this next commission that was going to go out goes against this debt or whatever. There's some reconciliation that happened. But the way that TikTok communicated it to her was, Alex is not paying your $17 commission. And so then she made a video saying that Alex is trying to, take money from you or whatever. But no, what they did do though is that this went all the way to the top of TikTok.
That instant?
Yeah. And they corrected the mistake. So they actually changed it so that it was clear that this deduction occurred because a customer, not the business, refunded, and that is what's being held against the commission.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I broke TikTok Shop, but the volume that we did exposed a flaw that they were able to fix.
Huh. How much volume did you do?
When I had it, I stopped doing it after that because I was like, it's just not worth it for me. But I think we were doing like 350,000 a week the last week, I think, in just book sales. But no, it was one of those where like, it's not worth my reputation to have anyone think that I would not, like, I always pay my debts. Like, it is something that I will always fucking pay my debts. I do not want to owe anyone anything. It's very like, it's so core to who I am. I hated that. I like in my offers book, I talk about this, but I had $23,000 in my account. I had a salesperson who did $100,000 in sales. I owed them 20%. I paid, it was like $22,000, something like that, out of my account when I had 23 before I received the $100,000 that ended up almost all getting removed. Because I never want someone to think that I do not keep my commitments.
What's the biggest downside of building yourself into the type of person who can become a billionaire?
I think it's very common that the pattern of behavior that creates financial success.
That's a good question. Because now this is the question that popped in my head. Is Alex Hormozi a billionaire in the making? Are we seeing a billionaire in the making? And then this community tab, whatever this timestamp says, the real downsides of becoming a billionaire. So he might deny wanting to become one. He might say all the bad things attached to it. But if I know my fellow man wants to win And only way to win is to get more and more. More and more W's. More and more W's. Fellow men love W's. Fellow winning men love W's. So, drop down in the comments below. You think Alex Hormozi gonna be a billionaire? Would it be billionaire?
That way, it often creates this constant sense of deprivation of never achieving what you wanted to achieve, because by the time you do, you realize you could have done better. And so I have a guy on my team who I would say suffers from this. And we joke that like, hey, you know, if you go do this thing, if it's great, you should have gone harder. And if it's not great, well, there's all the reasons you messed up. And so there's basically like no good outcome. But I think why would you not want to meet your heroes?
Dissatisfaction, like you have an expectation of what someone is.
So would the question be, would I rather live in a dream world than reality?
Yes.
Reality and decide or opt out. I think some people do though. And I also put no moral judgment on that. If you want to keep living in a dream world, go for it. It's just not, for me, it has not been what has proven useful. Like if you live in a dream world, you are constantly surprised because your model for predicting how reality will work is flawed.
This app lets you play like you're the main character in your own anime story. It's called OOC, the Playable Anime, and you can literally create your own story.
An opposite of that, because I think a lot of people live in this optimistic dream world, like I'm the best, I'm a 10 out of 10, I'm gonna make $1 million. But there's also people that are like, never enough, never gonna be rich, it's never like going to hit. Like, are there two sides of the same coin and there's reality in the middle and you constantly try to adjust to that?
I think it's more, what do you want to have happen? And then what actions do you need to take in order to make that happen? If you saying you live in a dream world makes it more likely that you take actions that align with what you want to have happen, then do that. If you living in what you call base reality, these are super vague terms, but if that's what, you know, we say, I want to understand truth so that by understanding that, I will take better steps towards
Would you want to win the lottery?
Really interesting question. I do have the answer to that. So I bought a Powerball ticket when I was 20, and I remember I bought it with my college girlfriend at the time, and it hit over $1 billion at the time when $1 billion used to mean something. And I remember when the drawing was going to happen, and then I felt this incredible feeling of dread, of like, oh my God, what if I win? I don't want to win. Because the thought that I had was, if I win this $1 billion, I will never have been able to prove to myself that I could do it. And that was truly horrifying for me, because it would literally be opting out of the one thing that I really wanted to do, which is to prove to myself that I could do it. Which I know a zillion people will make their comment about how that's ridiculous. And I understand, but like,
no, that
you live your life, I'll live mine. You know, I want to do things my way. And I think it's the same. It's the same as, and this is, I mean, actually the question that you ask is really, really timely for me, because for my child, they're going to have been born into winning the lottery. And it's something that I'm acutely aware of. And I'm thinking, I would say like that is actually where the majority of my thinking has gone in relation to parenting, which is what you started with this with, which is like, how do I give them the opportunity to feel as though, hey, they have earned their place when they already are born into just such extreme material, situation success. And so that's something that I'm thinking a lot about. How am I going to manage this? Are we also going to change our lifestyle so that they have the world is different than it is? And so you act as though the entire world is like you, and it is not. And so I think it's like people who have traversed worlds have the most accurate view. They see heaven and hell together as one thing, and they're like, okay, these are the different conditions that exist, and I need to be able to navigate all of them. And so that's what I'd say like what I'm thinking a little bit about. And also, if I have a son, trying to make sure that he doesn't feel like he has to beat me to be worthy, and making sure that he would know that I am proud of his effort above all. And that, to be fair, it means I'll still have super fucking high standards for effort, but that is how he wins in my eyes, and shows courage and shows persistence and consistency and things like that. Those are the things that I'm thinking about right now. But to loop around to the original question, that is why I don't want to win the lottery. And it's also, I think, a bit of a worldview question, because if we see life as the path we take and who we become along that path, then it's like saying, would you like to have a video game and as soon as you open the game it says you won? That would be a bad game. And so it's like saying, do you not want to play anymore? That being said, in my current condition, if I were to win the lottery, I already have the credibility that I can build things and I know how to make money and all that stuff. And so it would really just act like
I just be thinking about music all the time.
Just a lump sum, called loan that I don't have to pay back from the universe for me to just like move.
I be getting
5 years forward.
Downloads of the music.
Which
Hold
would be
on,
nice.
let's have a jam session. Boom ba da 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 da, boom da 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 boo da boo doo, boom da boo da boo boom, boom da boo da boo doo, 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 boom da boo da boo doo. Pay me $1 billion cash. Come hit me up.
Walking the path that I have to walk to get here. Because the person who wins the lottery, who has nothing, is very unlikely to have the skills. Like, there's a magic card that I have. It's my favorite magic card of all time. It's called Burning Wish. It said, they wish for a weapon, but not for the skill to wield it. And so, like, just getting...
I screwed up. Come on, I was trying to pause it.
Money on platforms that aren't built for the job?
gonna come back better.
What?
Like if you got in trouble, it could still be you doing shit for money. So did that, right? But like the vast majority, it's person doing thing for other person.
See, we ahead of this time. It was, I think, right here.
I don't want to win the lottery.
Yeah, come on.
The path we take and who we become.
Come on, we gonna get there.
And so it's like saying, do you not want to play anymore? That being said, in my current condition, if I were to win the lottery, I already have the credibility that pay back from the universe for me to just like move if I didn't want it. Now, fine. So anyone wants to hand me $1 billion, you're welcome to, in cash. Totally good with it. But it's just because it serves a different objective now.
I remember this
and it doesn't prevent me from.
I remember the last
walking
part
the path
too, but
that I
we
have
was
to walk
too far
together.
back. We was too far
Because the person who wins the lottery, who has nothing, is very unlikely to have the skills. Like there's a magic card that I have. It's my favorite magic card of all time. It's called Burning Wish.
Let's read it, because I played Magic before. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little dirk. Choose a sorcery card you own from outside the game. Reveal that card and put it into your hand. Remove Burning Wish from the game. Okay, that's kind of broken. So even if it's not in this game, if it's not in this game, outside the game, so I can go home and, well, I'm home now, but I can go to the store, pick up a magic card and bring it back and play it. She wished for a weapon but not for the skill to wield it. I got something for my notes now.
You grew up with a dad that pushed you hard. You said the moment your dad was proudest of you was when you were your saddest.
Yeah.
How do you make sure your child's happiest moments are also your proudest ones?
I would say that I would reject the premise just because it assumes that that must happen or should happen. And I don't necessarily subscribe to that. Because this is what I was saying at the beginning, like all of this hinges on what do we define a successful parent as and what do we define a successful child as. If a successful parent means that they have a happy child, then that is one definition. If a successful parent is a useful child that contributes to society, that is another definition. Those are not mutually exclusive, but can be. And so I think it all that's why I'm saying like that is what I'm thinking the most about right now. It's like, how do I define success in each of these roles? Because I think once that's clear, at least clear for me, and people for sure disagree on whatever I come on because they'll have their own permutation, which I would say by all means live your life. Then I'll try and optimize towards that. I would say that the vast majority of when you have a happy parent and a sad child, it is typically because it's focused on outcomes, not behavior. Like, how could these things be mismatched? Right?
Got a page right
if it's
now.
I want the kid to work as hard as possible
to the next page
to achieve their goals. In what condition would the kid be happy that I would not be proud?
You said, sometimes I think shame was invented by people who have to prevent people who have not from taking action. Do you think shame is an illusion?
I would say shame is a feeling that people experience. And in order to know about, but you don't your own. If other people were to find out about them, you might feel weird about it, right? That weirdness is the shame. But if the fact that you do them means that you don't have any issues with it, you just know other people have issues with it. And so it's just navigating basically whose rules am I listening to? And so it's a great signal to know whose rule book am I following for my life?
Who benefits from someone feeling shame?
Oh, I mean, it's a status thing most of the time. So like so shame has uses. Like shame is not bad. It's like shame is like if someone does something fucked up and it hurts lots of people, they should feel ashamed. And so it's a very powerful punishment mechanism that we as a group of humans do to get other humans to act in a pro-social way. Like we shame them. And it feels so bad because back in the day, you getting ostracized from the group meant that you could die. And so it was a big point. Like, you know, don't do shit you're not supposed to do according to our rules. And if you don't listen to our rules, you will know that you didn't listen. We will shame you. We will ostracize you. We will ignore you. We will say bad things to you, about you, and you will no longer have access to the resources that we have. So I think shame absolutely has a purpose. The difficulty people have now is that like the stakes are different. It's not about life and death, but it still feels the same.
If someone woke up tomorrow with no shame, how would
And so if you were like, I don't know if this is a good idea, I'm gonna ask 10 people. Getting 10 people to agree is a great way to A, stay normal, and B, do nothing. And so you have to be willing, if you want an outsized outcome, you have to be willing to do things the vast majority of people disagree with. Now, Larry Ellison said this, and I think it's very good, which is if you do what other people disagree with, either they are right, which is the vast majority of the time, and you're wrong, or they are wrong and you're right. And in those instances, if you base businesses around them, you make tremendous amounts of money. It's when you see something that other people don't see. And the way to do that is to be willing to accept that in the short term, people disagree with you. And so that is where I would say shame does not pay off in the world of innovation. But in the world of social construct and like behaving, I think shame is a very good thing.
That's fascinating.
It's not good or bad. It's just, it's under what conditions. Same thing with guilt. People should feel guilty about stuff. You broke your own rules. You shouldn't do that.
All right. I'm trying to think through this in real time, but just as a mechanism to find like business opportunities and innovation, like should you be looking toward the places which people typically have a lot of ideas and opinions around and try to see if anyone's actually thinking from first principles?
I mean, I think a different way of thinking about it is just like, you want to find people's trash. What do people think? Like, I'll give a simple example. A way to spot a quote good investment is a team that enters the playoff and is the 16th seed out of 16 seeds, and you're like, that is way too low of a seed. I think they're way fucking better than that. That is where you bet on the fact that you're right. Now that's truly sports betting, which I'm not condoning, but that idea is how you translate that into the business setting. People are really sleeping on old people insurance, whatever. I don't see like nearly enough, but like I'm looking at the math, the population's aging. If I look at where wealth is distributed, it's all here. When I look at new business being started, it's all targeting here. I'm going to go there. Like it's just looking at the numbers and saying like a lot of times the quote missed opportunities are supply to mid mismatches. So where is there significantly more demand? How many more people want this thing versus how many people are supplying that thing? And looking at those. So like, why are peptides exploding? Okay, why is med spa still a great business to get into? Because there's still more demand than there is supply, and the people who have demand are getting older and need it more and have all the money.
Right.
But I think I want to just make this one point for anyone who's listening, especially the younger part of your audience. You do not need to have something that is brand new. Like 99% of businesses are just businesses that already exist that you just need to, you could literally just do the same and make money.
Yeah.
And if you do better, you'll make a lot of money. It's like, if you want to have a multi-billion-dollar or trillion-dollar outcome, yes, you'll need to do something that's truly net new. That being said, those things typically cost a lot of money. up front, which means you have to get into the raising capital game. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different way to play the game. That is how the truly de novo ideas can sometimes come to be, but I think that's very limiting. So like I took an entrepreneurship class in college. It's like, what are the things that people like? The easiest way to look at like what opportunities exist, especially for customers who are like you, is just look at your credit card statement. Look at everything you spend money on. You are the customer. It's like, are any of these things are things that I'm interested in or think that I could do? Great, maybe I can start there. And a lot of those businesses don't necessarily require a lot of startup capital to get going. You have a weed whacker. All right, save a little bit of money and you get a weed whacker. It's not like you don't have to start really big. I think that there's this fallacy of the perfect pick that like the one business you start is the one that you're gonna have the rest of your life. And that's just not the case. You're gonna learn how to market, you're gonna learn how to sell, you're gonna learn how to deliver, you're gonna learn how to hire, you're gonna learn how to fire, you're gonna have to learn how to train. There's all these skills that happen, even at a small local business, that then you can translate to a much better opportunity when you have a little bit more foresight, a little bit more capital, and then you can take bigger bets.
Yeah, I'm shocked I haven't met any people my age that are just like, yeah, I have a couple laundromats, It's like no one's looking in those places. And it's the same thing with what you said with old people insurance. Like, probably a great opportunity, If you audited your behavior since we last spoke, what's one behavior that moved the needle for you? And what's one behavior that you deleted?
Worried about how they gain access to your personal information so quickly? The truth is, you're still...
Think about what I've deleted. I'll start with what we've added. We've fully incorporated AI into our content creation and media as a business, and so our content output has probably doubled, maybe more. You guys would know, more than doubled in terms of total posts. Yeah, maybe tripled with same headcount. So I'd say that's moved the needle.
Doubled is big. How many pieces of content?
It's a lot. It is a lot. It is a tremendous amount.
Hundreds a day, 1,000?
It's not thousands a day. It's at least 100 a day for sure. Yeah, it's over 1,000 pieces a week.
Yeah, it got so crazy at one point. I was like, bro, I see him everywhere. I see him everywhere.
That's only possible because of AI. With the headcount that we have.
I was like, that is insane.
From a deletion perspective, it's less that I think I've deleted things and more that I've automated away tasks that I was doing before. And so like there are things that I was doing a year ago that I no longer do that are still getting done.
Is there any like one tactical thing about AI, Claude in general, that you see people doing wrong? Like something you learned recently?
I think people use AI to do dumb things very fast. So like it still doesn't like, because at least for now the models are very agreement biased, so they just agree with whatever you're saying most of the time. I think people just like get their cockamamie ideas confirmed, and so then they just take lots of wrong action. And so it's basically just because AI says it's a good idea doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Right.
And so there's still judgment that's required today, at least, to make good calls. And yeah, and the thing is that like no AI will give you more leverage than making a good decision. Like a decision can still have more leverage than AI. And there are still old men right now that don't use AI that are making way more money than the kids using AI. And so it's like, it is a form of leverage. It has not replaced all leverage. Like I have some older friends who are phenomenal business people, and I've asked them like, are you incorporating AI? And they're like, I mean, my teams are. They're like, but I'm paid to take risk.
How does it change who you hire? Like,
what people already have. I mean, think about it like this. Do I hire people today, or let's rewind the clock 5 years ago? Would I hire somebody who doesn't know how to use the internet? Would I hire somebody who doesn't know how to use Excel or Slack or email or calendar or Zoom or the basic tools that you use to run a business? No.
Do you test people's proficiency in like prompting?
Yeah. A lot more than that. Especially for them in a role that's super AI native.
That's fascinating. You built an AI version of yourself. It recruits for you. It trains your team. It can coach people one-on-one. What's left that only you can do?
Well, I'm here. So there's this. I think it actually ladders up to the things I was saying earlier. Like someone still has to make the call. LLC as an AI, and then start processing payments and file taxes as an AI. That currently doesn't exist. Maybe it will in the future. But right now, a human needs to take the risk. And so I am compensated for risk. I'm compensated for the decisions that I make. And even if you have AI to assist you, you still are the one who ultimately makes the decision. They make a suggestion, they make a recommendation, but you make the decision, right? Me existing in reality is still something that only I can do. So if people come to a conference and they want to see me speak, if there was a robot of me speaking, they probably wouldn't be that happy about it. And it's like, well, I mean, you could just, stream a recording of you. It's like, we've had that tech for a long time and people still don't care. And so it's just like the robo-chess thing. A lot of it comes down to stakes. And risk is that version of that from a business perspective. But yeah, there's a world where I could have an AI doing my live streams for me, answering questions the way that I would. But I still think part of it requires some level of, I don't know if the audience would be happy about that. Like, are you just gonna hop on a live stream of an AI, Alex? I don't know. I don't know if I would. And so there's something real about.
This is Manus. With other chatbots, I'd ask questions and they'd give me an answer.
Right?
But Manus is different.
I took a nap too earlier.
Yeah, Alex, I don't know. I don't know if I would. And so there's something real about live that makes us think anything could happen, right? And that creates the intrigue and interest. And it's unedited, it's raw, it's not changing anything.
A guy said to me recently, he said, anticipation is the number one emotion that sells. And I do think that AI, when it comes to content creation, like kind of cancels out that level of anticipation.
What do you mean?
Just it becomes predictable, right?
I think it depends. I mean, I think that an AI, like in the future when it's a little bit better, can write an exceptional story. And you might have anticipation of the story, even though you know the story is fiction. Same reason we read fictional stories now. So I think you can still build anticipation even if something's not true. The question is just whether things that are real, people will still want to watch. Like, there's a Bigfoot account, you know what I mean? That's on Instagram that I think's hilarious. But everyone knows it's fake. It's entertaining. If someone's saying, hey, let me give you advice on how to organize your taxes, there's higher stakes involved in that decision, and you might be less likely, not unlikely, but less likely than maybe like a beauty influencer. Like, if there's a fake AI that's teaching you makeup tricks, the stakes on getting that wrong are very low. You do your makeup wrong, you wipe your face off, right? Maybe you buy a pencil that's not as good as you thought. Okay, not the end of the world. You file your taxes wrong, you go to jail, right? Or you get a big bill and it sucks. So, like, it's just as the stakes increase, the credibility of the person giving advice, and again, this matters more for educators than entertainers. Entertainers are, I think, going to be super bifurcated, where if your entertainment style is something that AI, basically it has no stakes, then AI will completely wipe you out. And to be fair, there will also be human influencers. There will just also be AI influencers that can just pump out more. On the education side, the higher the stakes of the thing that you are educating on, the more likely that proof and credibility will be important. And so, like, why are there no, like, someone could take 100% of my content right now. I mean, shit, this already happens. They take the content and they just say the exact same words, and it's them rather than me, and their accounts don't do well. Why?
They don't have the energy.
Because, I mean, they're not even AI. They're HI. They're human intelligence, right? And they're doing the exact same thing. So why doesn't it work? Because they're not me. I mean, they don't have proof.
Yeah.
They don't have the proof. If they also had sold a $46 million business and also had a portfolio of $250 million a year, if they also had, $300 million in real estate, if they also had those things, then maybe the videos would perform. But the first question that anyone asks when they're before you even want to risk the time capital to invest in consuming content, you ask the question, why should I listen to you? And an AI will not have the answer to that for the higher stakes things in the short term.
And as far as implementing stakes, like what variables can you play with to implement stakes into content?
Which is cost, right? So if you think about content, this is funny that we're going this direction, but people will consume content that's a good deal. So if I do 100 dates in 12 minutes, that's taking a full season of The Bachelor and putting it in 12 minutes. That's a good deal. It's a good return on your time. If I do 10,000 phone calls and I compress my learnings from 10,000 phone calls, that I document me doing those calls, and I say, these are the 3 things I learned. And it's like, imagine I had a time warp camera and I show myself and it has a little counter of all the calls I do while I'm doing it. And at the end, I say, I learned these 3 things. I'll do it again tomorrow. That content would perform because they're getting a day's worth of value compressed into a few seconds, or at least their perception of that. And so that happens at all the way up, which is like, okay, I built a business over this period of time, all these years. These are the lessons that I've learned. I think one of my top 5 videos is just like 13 years of business lessons in like an hour or whatever it is, right? And so it's just like people want compressions of time. And so it usually comes down to time. Money is another version, is a tradable asset for time. So if you can save someone money, you can save someone time, you can save someone risk. They're trying to get a deal.
That's fascinating. You've talked about that concept, I believe. Maybe it wasn't you, just that money is like units of human energy.
Yeah, it's compressed time.
Yeah. And I guess content viewing is just kind of the same thing, just packaged in a different way.
Yeah, they're trading time for it.
I think you might reject the premise, but if you built everything around being useful, so maybe entertain this exercise with me.
Okay.
So if it's all handled, Layla's set, your child's happy, the mission.
That's right. OOC is a playable anime game where you create your own.
I think that assumes that I can no longer be useful. And I don't think that's true. At the most basic level, let's say all those things are true. Can I help someone across the street? Right. Then I can provide value. Like all we do is do that with just a lot more leverage. So you can serve soup at a soup kitchen or you can build 1 million soup kitchens. Both are useful.
Do you think if you were the most useful human in existence, you would still crave to be more useful?
Yeah. Why not? Why would I not want to help more people if I could help more people?
Is there any part of your life that can't be optimized? You said maximalized.
Sure.
That you kind of just have to feel your way through it like everyone else?
I should say, what is a relatable component of my life? I'll do 2 different extremes. So one answer is like, I go to the gym and I train hard and I train often. Not much of that is documented. And that is mostly because I just want to be present training. It's one of the few things that I just truly enjoy for the sake of doing it. And we had an idea for a show a couple of years ago called, Between Sets. And maybe I'll do something like that in the future because usually it's like between sets where I can actually do a lot of my best thinking because you're fully present. And I think the reason I've always been attracted to lifting weights in general, especially like heavier weights, is that like it's a forcing function for focus. Like if you have an amount of weight that if you drop it, you die, you have to be present. And I think that is why I've always loved training so much. And so, yeah, there's no, like from an optimization perspective, it would make a lot more sense for me to record content during that time period because, it's modeling a behavior that I think a lot of people would like. I'm actually pretty good at it. And it's me demonstrating expertise in something. Like all of these things would be good for the brand. I just don't, because I honestly just enjoy it so much. Maybe in the future I'll peel off a couple days a month that I train, and I'll have a camera there and whatnot. But I like it the way it is. So that's like an example of quote, being inefficient, and that's purely for enjoyment. On the the relatability side, yeah, but like I get indigestion sometimes. I get pains and aches like everyone else does. Traffic hits me the same as it does everybody else. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that one was what you're looking for, but I live like everyone else does. I mean, there are daily inconveniences that have been removed to the degree that I can, but there are some things that, maybe I should take a helicopter home. I don't know. It's still going to take me time to travel. Like there's something, but like it's also like I don't really see it as like a negative. Like I'll give you a different example. Like when Layla and I were dating, I was driving, we were talking about something, and I missed an exit. And she's like, "Hi, that was the exit." And I was like, "Great, we get more time to hang." And so it's like, does it have to be a bad thing? These inconveniences that we deal with. I don't know.
Layla said before that when you two went out on your first date for frozen yogurt, her tattoo was visible on her back. She implied maybe you weren't the biggest fan. I'm guessing you've been able to move past that.
We were married, so yeah.
If you absolutely had to, though, what tattoo would you get?
I don't know. There was one tattoo that I considered when I was 21, 22. When I set the Maryland state record, junior state record for, I think it was bench and squat, something like that. It's sad to even, I don't remember which one it was. It's Googleable. I thought about getting like a USAPL, the logo, which is like a cool kind of like abstract half barbell, like here. And then I just said, all right, well, I'll give myself a year. And if in 1 year I still want it, I'll get it. And a year later, I didn't want it, so I didn't get it. And then that was pretty much like the end of my tattooism, or like desire to have a tattoo.
Right. You once
That's
quoted
rare to
Idris
find
Elba,
somebody without a tattoo.
saying men
I'm
fall
one
in
of
love
those
with what they see, women fall in love with what they hear,
You look around,
which is why
a
women
lot
wear
of
makeup
people
and men
got
lie.
tattoos.
Mhm.
A lot of people.
What do you think makes a man feel addicted to a woman? Like, what's the one behavior that makes men fall in love with women that has nothing to do with looks?
To maintain their original function, or basically you reinforce them for being who they are. So like, you reinforce them for being who they are. So like, someone comes into your house, let's say you normally ask people to take their shoes off, but it's an old man. You show them respect by just saying like, you're good, man. You show deference. You basically reinforce them for doing what they're already doing, right? And so I think that men in general, I think they've done surveys on this, but like more men would rather be respected than loved if they had to pick one. More would rather be loved than respected if they had to pick one. It's like 70-30 either way, which is kind of interesting. And so I think that it's not one thing, but it's more an outcome. It's more the set of behaviors that show respect.
Something you said as well on this, if you want to add any part of it, was you said was making him feel important as well is the number one love drug, something like that. What are the behaviors specifically that you would guess would be within that?
And I see respect as a lot like that. You know what I mean? Like if someone shows you deference, like they're saying that your ways of behaving supersede the rules of the establishment or the rules of your personal preferences. You basically take their preferences over yours, which in a different way of saying like they become more important, right? But that is functionally what happens, which is like someone comes in, let's say they're tired after a day of work, rather than like unload all your shit on them, you would allow them to maintain their current state and reinforce them for doing that. What else can I get you? And again, this is not like a subservient type thing. It's more that like, I think that is what a lot of men crave. Now, to be clear, I think you have to also earn that. And so that's the trade. I also think that there are times when, because this goes both ways, right? Like if you have unconditional love, I think you also need to have unconditional respect. Now, people get weird about that, but I think that, like, if we show up both ways, right? Now, it would be less popular in current society to say, like, is there ever a time that a woman or man does not deserve love? Now, deserve becomes a hard word. It's like, do we deserve it just because we live, because we breathe, because we exist? I don't know. I maintain zero of these premises, but I just say only that if we take it to its natural end, it would look that way. I think that a lot of relationships do come down to, do you serve the other person, and do you allow them to, do you maximize the likelihood that they hit their goals? So I see support as minimizing the likelihood of failure. So someone supports you, which also means that it has nothing to do with intentions. Someone can have bad intentions and support you. If they do things that, it's like the people who hate on you.
Oh, I'm blocking his face.
If they tell their audiences that they spend all this time working for about you, a percentage greater than zero will find you and like you.
I'm breaking it now.
And so they promote you. What a gift, right? And so they support you. They minimize your likelihood of failure. And so you just have all these people who just advertise you.
Yeah.
For free, which is crazy. It's amazing. So anyways, if we see support as minimizing the likelihood of failure, and from a behavior perspective, like, I think, and I'll just, instead of saying most men, I'll just say me. I value Layla as a woman, and I value Layla as a partner. And she has different behaviors that she does in both those settings. So she's also my business partner. And so we have almost these parallel tracks, and no one really sees, like, our married life much at all. But our business life is just us being business partners, and we have a very good cadence on how we, communicate about business. And we have lanes where I'm like, this is your call. Like, you know this better than I do. And there's some things that she's like, this is obviously your call. Like, what do you think? And we might weigh in on each other. On a normal marriage setting, I would say Layla and I have far more traditional gender roles. And I think part of that is, like, both of us, luckily came from the same Middle Eastern background. And so even though we're both born in the U.S., we're both first generation. And so we've adopted a lot of, I would say, like, very traditional views from that perspective. And so it's, it's a lot of small things. Like, Layla still likes making me dinner. Like, Layla still, she'll, rub my back. I'm stressed. She'll, it's little things. Like, she'll clear plates, or she'll just say, like, hey, I'm on my way to whatever. Do you want a drink or something? Like, it's just very small stuff. Besides, like, taking care of all the details of everything, besides that stuff. But I think above all else, so this is your one thing, I think every man, so now I'm going to go back to generalizing. I think every man wants a woman who believes in them even more than they believe in themselves. And I think it's having someone who, on your worst day, is still like, you fucking got this, It's like, you're Jack fucking Neal. You got this. And it's like, if you're your prerogative, you can do whatever you want. That type of statement means a lot less from somebody you don't respect. But when the person you are married to is someone that you actually respect, when they say you fucking got this, it means a lot more. And so I think
the real estate market is not down. You just don't have the right tools to make money in a weird market like what we're experiencing right now in 2025.
When they say you fucking got this, it means a lot more. And so I think at least Layla and I have a balance of love and respect both ways. And I think that it benefits both of us, because it also goes back the other way, where if I'm like, you're Layla fucking Hormozi, you got this. Like, I'm not worried at all. Right. And so I think that if we see marriage as a partnership, then it's, do we have aligned goals? Because I think there are unpopular, let's take marriage out of it because there's a lot of taboos. Take a business partnership. There's a lot of reasons that I think people wrongfully end business partnerships. There are a few that are the right reasons. One of them is that we want different things. It's very hard to optimize a machine around two different outcomes. If one of you wants to go and change the world and the other one doesn't want to leave the house, you will both compromise and both be probably pretty miserable. Again, that's a choice. You can do that. But I would say that would be a reason to I went back to marriage, but like in a general business partnership, then that would be one where I'd say like this partnership shouldn't exist because we actually both are not supporting the other person's goals. We're maximizing the likelihood of failure. But if we have aligned outcomes that we want, and then underneath of that, we believe in this way of doing things, these behaviors is how we want to achieve this outcome, then the likelihood of conflict is significantly lower, and the likelihood that the person can support the other when they deviate from the pattern of behavior that we've said is the pattern that we want to espouse or that we want to live by, then you basically have two guardrails on the bowling ball going towards the pins. If you only have one person that's holding it up, you only have it on one side, and then maybe it shoots off the other. But if both of you have a guardrail and you have an outcome, all you got to do is roll the ball. And if the guardrails are tight enough, you knock them down every time. And I think that is what a good marriage looks like.
I love all that. I've heard you say bits of those things, but never all together. So every guest gets to a point in my podcast where they won't tell the truth about something. There's a line they won't cross. Here's my version of it for you. What's the one thing about money you believe that you've never said in a video?
I very much struggle to answer that question because I feel like I've scrubbed every surface of money that I've seen. You know what I mean? Like,
is he lying?
How to store it, how to keep it, how to make it, how to multiply it, how to get people to give it to you, how to give it to other people. You know, the upsides of money, the downsides of money.
What's this timestamp?
Like, and a lot of it is just because like money
real.
Isn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just a generalized means of exchange. Like that's really it. And so I don't think there's like some deep dark secret of money. Like it's just a unit of measurement for us to store, you know, to measure value. And that's why fundamentally, like, you don't even make money. You earn money by exchanging, by giving value and getting it back, and then getting money as a monetary exchange for you giving something and then them not giving you anything back, so they have to give you money, right? If you do something for someone else and they provide value back, you don't need to exchange money because hopefully the value is equal. If the value is unequal, you have some value and the rest is made up with money. It's just the way that we balance accounts more than anything. But many of the talking heads that I see on the internet talking about money will use vague terminology and try to anthropomorphize money in terms of trying to make it human or some sort of amorphous thing, or they'll add mysticism to it, or manifesting it, or attracting it, where there's energy, money has a frequency. They make up all this stuff. And I think it's because they cannot be clear with their language in observable terms, and it is easier to confuse people with rhetoric in terms of words that sound good when said together than the reality of what money really is. And so because they cannot be clear about giving instructions because they are not good enough to do it, there's a quote that I was told a lot when I was younger, which is, I don't agree with it, but it was said by somebody that I don't particularly enjoy. But the individual said, if you cannot impress them with your intelligence, confuse them with your bullshit. And I would say that, like, I live my life in the exact opposite of that. Do not try to impress me with your intelligence, and also do not speak bullshit. Just tell the truth. State the facts and tell the truth. It's the number one thing that we say in this marketing department, above all else. But the thing is that it's the whole truth. That's the hard part. It's all the way down. It's 6 layers down truth. How, like,
You shouldn't be answering
you look
your
like
email.
A Jonas
you shouldn't
brother.
be scheduling your calendar. If you're running a business,
You
you
look
need
like
a
Zac
real
Efron.
human assistant. On that.
why should I listen to you? And so he's like, well, I have $100 million in verified earnings from trading. And I was like, okay, this is, by the way, why conversation. I was like, okay, that's fine. Then why are you selling courses on it instead of just like going and making trades? And he's like, well, I want to impact people and blah, blah. And I was like, no, you don't, dude. No, you don't. What do you like? Please tell me the truth, because I will be able to help you if you tell me the truth. And this went back and forth for a little bit until eventually he was like, I couldn't sleep. I lost weight. The amount of stress that trading, it ruined my life. I couldn't find anyone to date because I had to trade 24 hours a day, and it just ruined my health. And my dad died at 50. And I just saw myself going down the same path. And he was like, I've made enough and I don't want to keep doing this as my main thing. And I was like, that's the truth. So in your marketing, you need to tell the whole truth, which is you need to say that, which is trading ruined my life. It's also the only thing I'm good at. And so if you want to make enough money to ruin your life, I can show you at least how I did it. I can't promise it's going to happen for you. And my hope is that you make enough that you stop doing this and can do something else. That is a compelling marketing message. Is it believable? Much more.
I would buy that because it sounds like
because you believe it. Yeah, because you believe it though. And so that's the thing is like people look for these angles in marketing, but like the rarest stuff out there is the whole truth.
Yeah, do you want to do something really hard?
You tell the whole thing. You tell the whole thing, the whole truth. And that is what will make compelling advertising. So to the whole truth of money is more so that people who lack skills around money make up words that sound good, that mean nothing, and confuse many people. And as a result, they take action on things that do not result in any money making and are confused as to why it doesn't work because their model of reality is flawed. And I would say that the vast majority of the content they put out there, the reason I define terms so aggressively before I make statements or before I answer a question, it's like, well, are we agreeing on these terms? Is because unless we agree on terms, the reason every agreement that makes any sense, the first part of every legal agreement, which means that we have communication that has stakes, is a recital of fucking definitions. What does territories mean? What does non-compete mean? We have to define these terms. And so it's funny because like I was at a podcast the other day and they were like, well, what do you mean by that? And they like try to throw it at me. And I was like, I will define anything that I say because I stand by the words that I'm saying. I choose these words for a reason. When someone asks a question and then I ask them, what do you mean by that? And then they get flustered. I'm like, well, then you're asking me to answer a question for a word that you cannot define. So how am I supposed to get you what you want if you don't even know what you're asking? I had an exchange recently with someone in this company that, not that recently, but that they made a request that I speak to them more politely or kinder. And I said, I'm super happy to. What does that mean to you? And so it ended up being that they wanted me to put a prefix before I made statements. So it's like, could you right? But the thing is that so many people use these words, and these words are used every day. Kindness, politeness, empathetic, energy, you know what I mean? Vibe. Until we define what they mean, we're just making noise at each other, assuming the other person knows, when we don't even know.
That's all words are.
When someone says, I'll know when I see it, that just means that you haven't defined it yet. If you want to see it more, tell them what you want to see. And that takes work. Because you have to think, oh man, Susan's so lazy. You're like, why is she lazy? Like, what did she do to cause you to say that? And then eventually it gets really down to like, she's pretty slow on Slack to respond to shit. Okay. Well, if you want Susan to not be a lazy Susan, then
how do you do that?
We just need to tell her, hey, Susan, just respond to Slack faster. People stop thinking you're lazy. That's it? Great. It's just like when you drill down, it's like you can become clear with your communication. And so I would say that the vast majority of my communication around money, my attempt at all has been absolute truth, and truth as I define it is an observable reality. And I try to use only terms that I can say, that I can see with my eyes so that other people can also see it with their eyes and do it with their hands and feet.
used to hate budgeting because every time I tried to stick to one, I would get discouraged or feel bad about myself.
And is at the very end. This question is for him, and the answer is for you and everyone else. Solomon, what do you understand now that you couldn't see when you hadn't hit your number?
The easy answer to that question would be that it wasn't worth it, or, you were going to accomplish it anyways because you're the person who is the accomplishment. Like, those would be I would say, like, the answers that people would applaud and be happy for. But for me, like, specific numbers did change my behavior. And so I would say outcomes, accomplishments, material success, it is meaningless if it changes nothing about your life. If it changes your day-to-day, then there was a purpose for it. And I tend to try and define my goals almost exclusively by what will this change about my life. And so if it doesn't change my life, then I likely won't make it a goal of mine. And so right now I don't have a tremendous amount of insight on it because I'm actively in pursuit of the things that I've wanted, and the things that I have achieved up to this point, I also wanted. And in achieving them, the things that I thought would happen have. And so I never set out on the journey that I have to somehow reach some magical nirvana. I never expected that. And so that's not what's happened. I expected that I would become more useful and help more people as I gained more skills and leverage. And that's been true. And I'm good with it. And so I would say that I have not had a magical revelation. I would say it's been largely that the things that I hoped would be true came true.
Do you suspect 85-year-old Alex will care so much about being valuable?
Yes, I just think that value will change. It's just that the way that I will be valuable might change. That said, and a lot of achievements in basically the domains that require the most fluid intelligence, like mathematics. And so after you're 30, no one has ever gotten a Nobel Prize. That's all of it is in teens and 20s, which is everyone's peak. And after that, they just go down. You just don't have the processing power. And then there's these different career paths that they peak later and later and later. And the career path that has the latest peak that basically doesn't really have an end is historians. And so, the people who have the largest contexts of just pattern recognition. And so you look at the Warren Buffetts and they're studiers of huge amounts of data, and they synthesize decisions, right? And I would say that the role that I'm currently in and that I continue to move more in that direction of is translating I'm very open to change. I think there's a lot of people will see snippets on the internet and make a caricature in their mind of what the rest of this person's reality is. And that's just the nature of the internet. It's short form, and that's fine. But as a result, I will get questions that are like this, which is basically to this caricature of me, which is not reality. Like, I have very strong beliefs, loosely held. If there's new information, I'll change. If the day my kid is born, I want to do nothing else but hang out with the kid, I will do that. Why? Because I can. Like, I optimized for freedom for a long period of time, which is like, how can I maximize my optionality? I do think that there are times when you choose to actively go against optionality in order to make commitments, to have dependencies, right? Like, having a family removes optionality. But I don't see that as bad. You want to have options, but not to always just have options. You want to be able to have options so that you can select the option that you want. And so I think this is probably one of the big issues that this might be the most valuable piece of the podcast for young people. So let me just make this point. Right now, I would say the youth of at least the Western world is obsessed with the idea of independence, freedom, and optionality. They want to do it their way and have all options open. They never want to get tied down. They don't want to commit to a career. They don't want to commit to anything. And it's because, like, I don't know if something's going to change. But the optionality that we earn, it's like just making a ton of money but never spending it. If you die at the end of your life with which is eliminating alternatives, which means you walk through one-way doors knowing that you can't walk back. And like, I see that as a big sign of maturity. As you've taken these steps because you've decided, and decadere, right? The loudness to cut off. You cut off options because you say, this is more meaningful to me. And it's because people are unwilling to make trades. Like, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. So like, you will sacrifice novelty for loyalty when you get married. That's a trade. And at some point, it will be worth it more for you to have loyalty than novelty in your life, right? And so there are many trades like this that we have to make, but the ultimate trade is the one that we don't make when you basically get neither thing that you want, because you sit on the sideline with your big stack of money, your big stack of options, never having used them. Because some doors also do close, because at a certain point you do lose options by not committing. Right. If you are a girl and you want to wait for your options, if you're 60, the likelihood that you're going to be able to have kids is very low. If you didn't have kids by the time you're 60, I'm using that as an extreme example here because I don't feel like dealing with it, then you're probably not going to have kids. And it's because that option is now gone for you. And so some options have an expiration date on them. And so sometimes we just have to decide and realize that we will not get everything in life. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things of, I would say, like, what has changed about me from a maturity perspective is realizing that you cannot have it all. And like, very viscerally, like, if you want a house that has a mountain view and is on the beach and is also secluded, but walking distance from grocery stores and shops and shopping, you can't, because you can't be in the mountains and then also have the shopping malls and all that stuff. And you can't be on the beach but also have the mountain view. It doesn't, like, these things sit separately. And if you want to also have the beach but also have skiing, like, there is no place that has those things. And so we want everything and are unwilling to sacrifice anything, and as a result get nothing. And I would say that's probably the biggest thing that has changed as I've gotten older, is that I'm willing to make trades.
Beautiful. Well, everyone, this has been your guest, Alex Hormozi. This is the Jack Neal Podcast.
And that was our reaction. Thank you for sticking with Relate with JRL. It's been your boy Joshua. And remember, go forth, put effort. Peace.